Today we will start our session. Okay, subject history, topic golden age of Shah Jahan. So topic is golden age of Shah Jahan, and this is the topic for BA second year students of third sem. Okay, listen properly and note down the important points. So first, reign of Shah Jahan. Reign of Shah Jahan is from 1628 to 1658. That means he came to the throne in 1628. So now we will come to know about his early career, early life. Shah Jahan original name was Khurram. In his childhood life, his name was Khurram. He was the third son of Jahangir. His father was Jahangir and he was third son to his father. He was a well educated. He gained good experience in the art of war in the reign of his father. So when his father was ruling the kingdom, at that time he had trained in the art of warfield. So he is very good in warfares. He achieved remarkable success against Mewar, Ahmednagar kingdoms. So he also achieved several kingdoms. Accession. Who is a Shah Jahan and accession? After Jahangir's death, Prince Khurram put an end to all his rivals and declared himself the emperor under the title Shah Jahan. Until he came to the throne, he was known as, his name was Khurram. But after the death of his father, when he came to the throne, at that time he got his name changed as Shah Jahan. He left all the other activities in which he was involved, and now he has came to the throne and he was very much concerned about the people, welfare of the people. So events of Shah Jahan's reign. The rebellions of Shah Jahan, Juhar, Sindh, Bundela and Kanjahan Lodi were crushed. Ahmednagar was conquered and annexed to the Mughal emperors. During his reign, Ahmednagar was conquered. The sultans of Bijapur and Golconda were forced to pay tributes to the Mughals. Shah Jahan wanted to take revenge on the Portuguese who occupied and kidnapped two maids of his wife, Mumtaz Mahal. Their stronghold at Hooghly in Bengal was destroyed and most of the Portuguese were put to death. All the efforts of Shah Jahan to conquer Kandahar and Central Asia ended in a failure. There broke out a war of succession among the sons of Shah Jahan during his last years. So Shah Jahan's father, he was having three sons. So all of them were fighting. I will extend the throne. There was a rivalry going on among the sons of Shah Jahan. His third son, Aurangzeb, came out victorious and occupied the throne of Delhi in 1658 when Shah Jahan was still alive. He led a miserable life in his last years and died in 1666 AD. So now we will discuss about rule of Shah Jahan. So Shah Jahan's rule was very prosperous, glorious. It was a grandeur in the administration of Mughal Empire, especially in the domain of art and architecture. His reign was described as golden age. His reign was described as golden age. So golden age of Shah Jahan. So when you are asked to write about administration of Shah Jahan or rule of Shah Jahan or golden age of Shah Jahan, but these points only you have to cover. According to contemporary sources, the reign of Shah Jahan may be regarded as golden age of the Mughal rule in India. Some of the modern historians also held the same view. They maintain that during his reign, the Mughal Empire had reached the zenith of its glory. Because of his constructions, he spent lot of money for construction of buildings. Only he has given importance for the construction of buildings. So that is why the Mughal Empire has reached the zenith of its glory. There was a peace and order and all sides of development in the country. So there was a peace and order. Everything was going on orderly, smoothly. So there was a all-round and harmonious development in the country. In the words of Hunter, the Mughal Empire during the reign of Shah Jahan had touched the zenith of its power and glory. Following are their arguments in favor of this view. So some of the historians, they are saying that Shah Jahan's reign is called as golden age of Mughal Empire. Some of the historians, they are arguing that no, why we should call him as golden age, why his reign only is described as golden age, why we have to describe him as golden, his reign has golden period. He was not at all concerned about people. He raised the taxes. In one side there was a development, at another side there was a underdevelopment. So why his reign has to be described as golden age? Some other historians, they were arguing in their sources. But on the whole, while we take into records of history, his reign has been described as golden age, especially in the domain of art and architecture. So first point in golden age is peace and order. During Shah Jahan's reign, the Mughal Empire enjoyed peace and order. Khan Jahan's rebellions was the only serious rising. So of this period, only he had one war with Khan Jahan's rebellions. After this, there was a peace and order in the country. The country was free from foreign aggressions. So no one, during his reign, no one wanted to invade the country for the conquest of India, for conquering Indian territories. The Rajputs were faithful, and Deccan states of Bijapur, Golconda accepted Mughal overlordships. His empire extended from Afghanistan to Assam, from Kashmir to Ahmednagar. So there was a expansion and consolidation of empire also during his rule. Shah Jahan did all in his power to make the travel as safe as it could be. So he put his focus for construction of roads also to some extent. Prosperity of the country. Second point is prosperity of the country. First point is peace and order. Second one is prosperity of the country. More land has described as there was a historian by name Moreland. He has described the reign of Shah Jahan as a period of agrarian tranquility. So there was a agriculture like for importance was given for cultivation of crops. So most of the income used to come from collection of land revenue to the state. The royal income from land revenue alone was rupees 45 crores per year. Shah Jahan also inherited the wealth of Akbar and Jahangir. The magnificence of his courts and cities was great, and the extent of wealth of his empire, it was enormous. By undertaking irrigational works, Shah Jahan tried to increase the fertility of the soil. He made the land fertile. Different variety of crops were cultivated. So that's why land revenue was the main source of income. Canals were dug from the Ravi and Yamuna rivers. These projects provided work for the poor people. The industries were also in a prosperous manner. Lahore, Agra, Ahmednagar, Burhanpur, etc. were the industrial centers. Foreign trade added to the wealth of the country. So there was a friendly relationship between foreign countries during the reign of Shah Jahan. So whatever the production that was more in other countries, India used to export from those countries, and whatever the production is there in India in a luxurious manner, that India used to import from this side. So administrative stability. Third one is administrative stability. Though Shah Jahan was not an innovative genius like Akbar, he was wise enough to make the best of his existing administrative institutions. He removed the defects of Mansabdari system and provincial administration. He effected economy by cutting down the salaries of officers. He had a keen sense of justice. Savarni says, a father over his family, he ensures security of roads and administration of the law. Shah Jahan was just ruler. He spared none in judicial matters. Regarding judicial matters, he himself used to take the decisions. He never used to conduct meetings and used to listen the used to take decisions of his ministers. He himself he has the final judicial authority. So now development of art and literature. Shah Jahan's reign was golden age, especially in the domain of art and architecture. He was rightly called the Prince of Builders because he has constructed many buildings. So that is why He has been described as prince of builders. He spent lot of money for construction of buildings. He was not concerned with any other activity rather than construction of buildings. As Perry Brown says, Shah Jahan found the Mughal cities of sandstone and left them of marble. His buildings resembles the climax in the evolution of Mughal architecture. Especially in the domain of architecture, his reign should rightly be called the golden period in the medieval history of India. The Red Fort with its white marbles, palaces, Jama Masjid, Moti Masjid, Diwan I Am, Taj Mahal, etc. are the best examples of Indo-Muslim architectures. So Taj Mahal. Now we will discuss several buildings which were constructed by him. I told you, like Jama Masjid, Moti Masjid, Taj Mahal, Red Fort, and so on, like that. Many buildings were constructed by him with white marbles. So now one by one, in a detailed way, we will discuss about each construction. Okay. So Taj Mahal is also Taj Mahal has been described as a dream in marble. Rabindranath Tagore called it as an immortal tear on the cheeks of eternity. About the Diwan-i-Khas, a Persian couple says, if there is a paradise on the face of the death, it is this. The magnificency of his court for the cities was great. He adorned the great cities of his empire with palaces, mosques, and gardens. In all the cities, he beautified the cities by constructing mosques, gardens, and palaces. The peacock throne and celebrated Kohinoor diamond added to the pomp and magnificency of his court. The arts of drawing and painting reached a high level of perfection and excellence. Okay, now one by one we will discuss about his buildings, his monuments. Okay, Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is the symbol of eternal love. As everyone knows, Taj Mahal was 7 wonders of the world. This marble remains one of the most loved tourist spot in the world. So it is a tourist spot. Taj Mahal is a tourist spot. People from different countries of the world come to visit Taj Mahal. It is 7 wonders of the world. Arjuman Banu Begum. She was born in April 1593 in Agra at India. The beautiful mausoleum is made up of white marbles. It had 4 towers in its 4 corners and have dome in the middle path. Each of these towers were 40 meters high. It was designed by Ustad Ahmad Lahri. It was also recognized in the UNESCO heritage list. So this it took 22 years to construct Taj Mahal. It was constructed on the memory of his wife Mumtaz on the rivers of on the banks of the river Yamuna at Agra. Now we will discuss about Jama Masjid. So this Taj Mahal was constructed for the memory, for the remembrance of his wife Mumtaz. His wife died after the marriage. So for the memory, for the remembrance of his wife, this Taj Mahal was constructed on the banks of the river Yamuna in 1628 AD. Now Jama Masjid. Jama Masjid. This mosque was a result of efforts of 6,000 workers over a period of 6 years. The cost of construction in those times was 1 lakh. Now it is equal to 1 million. It is 14 meters high, mostly built with red stone outlined with black and white marbles at 3 sides of the gate. It is very similar to the Jama Masjid of Agra. It is divided into 2 parts, sanctuary and country yard. It is divided into 2 parts, sanctuary and country yard. About 25,000 people can pray at a time in this hall. 30 years of his reign, 30 years of Shah Jahan's reign witnessed in the construction of several buildings that stand testimony to the vision of great emperor. By constructing the grandeur buildings, he got the title as a great emperor. The death of his wife, he shifted the capital from Delhi and laid the foundation of Shahjahanabad. After the death of his wife, he shifted the capital from Delhi and laid the foundation of Shahjahanabad between 1638 to 48. So now Peacock Throne. It is also one of the most important monument, Peacock Throne. The name comes from the shape of the throne having the figures of 2 peacocks standing behind it, their tails being expanded. It was constructed with precious stones created for Mughal Emperor Badshah. It was constructed by Shah Jahan of India in 17th century. In the 17th century, which was in the imperialist capital, Delhi. It was a public audience hall, and Diwan-i-Am Shah Jahan had the famous stone Kohinoor diamond planted in this throne. Red Fort. It was built by Shah Jahan AD 1628 to 1658. The Mughal Emperor shifted the capital from Agra to Delhi in 1658 and established Shahjahanabad. In 1558 AD, this city of Delhi, Lal Kula or Red Fort on 12th May 1629. So this Red Fort was also known as Lal Kula or Red Fort. So it was the construction of the Red Fort was started on 12th May 1639, and it took 9 years 3 months to complete this building under the supervision of master builders Hamid and Ahmad. Originally, it was known as Kula-i Mubarak. It used Originally, it was known as Kula.
Kula-i Mubarak.
Mubarak. Kula na Kula. Kula-i Mubarak. It used in building red stones. It was while construction was going on, they used red stones and is octagonal on plan with rampart surrounded by most originally connected with rivers Yamuna. It has 2 gates, the Lahari gate on the west and Delhi gate on the south. So these are the famous buildings which were constructed by Shah Jahan. Lot of money was spent for the construction of these buildings. Okay. So Shah Jahan, after construction of his buildings, he extended his patronage not only in Persia but also Hindi and Sanskrit. He founded Imperial College at Delhi for the promotion of learning. According to Jagannatha Pandit, Kavendra Acharya, Sundar Das and Chittaranjan Das and other Sanskrit Hindi scholars adorned his court, and Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana and Mahabharata were translated in Persian languages under the inspiration of liberal minded people. According to V.S. Smith and others like Edward and Garrett and K.K. Datta, Shah Jahan's reign was not the golden age in Mughal history, and it sounded the zenith of Mughal Empire. Professor R.S. Sharma also says Shah Jahan's rule was an epoch of grandeur, not unmixed with symbols of decay. The reign of Shah Jahan was an all-rounded development. So, in spite of his initiation taken for the construction of buildings, there are some historians, they are arguing that why his reign has to be described as golden age of Mughal empire. There are many defects. Only in the domain of art and architecture it can be considered as golden age, but in other aspects, while taking into administration in a political perspective, it cannot be considered as golden age. There are some defects in the administrative system. Though Shah Jahan removed some defects of Mansabdari system, he introduced some novel and unhealthy changes in the revenue system. The Jagir system and the farming of revenue were revived. They cut off the relation between government and peasants. Land revenue was increased from 1/3 to 1/2 of the gross produce of the land. Assessments were made by the rough calculations, represents and bribery vitiated the whole system of administration. So there was a bribery that was going on in the state, and taxes were increased when Akbar Babur reign was there, rule was going on. At that time 1/3 of the gross produce used to be collected from the farmers. But when Shah Jahan came to the throne, he spent lot of money for construction of monuments. For that sake, what happened? There was a financial disruption in the country. So he has enhanced the collection of taxes from 1/3 to 1/2. So, and there was no direct contact between the peasants and the government. If at all the land farmers had to pay the tax, they had to contact landlords. The peasants were not allowed to have a direct contact with government. So this is also one of the defect. And punishments were severe, sometimes cruel and barbarous. All the roads were not free from robbery. So robbery was also going on. There was no safety and security to the people. The provincial governors were rapacious, ambitious and oppressive. Severe famine ravaged the and people of these places were reduced to the direct extremity. So there was no safety and security to the country. Deterioration of Mughal army. The conquest and annexation of Ahmednagar was only the great military achievement of his reign. He could also establish his sovereignty over other areas of Bijapur and Golconda. But Mughal army failed miserably in Central Asia and Kandahar. The soldiers who were there were number of soldiers, but they are inefficient. they lacked in perfection, and the discipline was not maintained. So all these causes resulted in defects of his administration. Decline of economic system, financial defects. So there was a decline in economic system, the maintenance of splendors of his court, a big army, an elaborate bureaucracy, and enormous expenditure on architectural monuments imposed heavy burden on peasants, artisans, and traders. So peasants, artisans, and traders, everyone were opposed to his rule because there was a lot of tax burden, and jizya tax, pilgrimage tax, previously it was imposed on Hindus, but Muslims were exempted from this tax. After he came to the throne, these two taxes, jizya tax and pilgrimage tax, was imposed on Hindus. They used to collect taxes. According to Morland, the condition of the masses was miserable. He writes, the weavers knacked themselves, soilers to clothes. The peasants themselves were not happy because of tax burden. So all these conditions led to the defective system of his administration. So next, what policies he has followed in religious administration. Now we will come to know religious biography of Shah Jahan. Unlike his predecessors, Shah Jahan was a narrow-minded religious bigot and anticipated more reactionary policy of Aurangzeb, of his treatment of Christians and Hindus. Some of the Christians were forcibly converted into Islam, and the Hindus' temples were destroyed. The pilgrimage tax was revived. So again they collected pilgrimage tax. And what meant by pilgrimage tax? Pilgrimage, if Hindus wanted to go for tourist places for pilgrimage trips, they used to collect taxes. Before it was abolished by Akbar, again he has revived it. So this was also a defective system of his reign. There are certain aspects in which his reign was glorious. There are certain aspects in which his reign seems to be glorious. 1. While in other fields it was not. It can be considered Shah Jahan was a great ruler of Mughal administration. There was a political unity and administrative uniformity. The Mughal Empire was consolidated. There was a complete expansion. There was all-round development in the administration. On the whole, there was a all-round development in the administration. So you used to maintain friendly relationships with Rajputs and other Rajas of the state. So actually in the domain of art and architecture, his reign has been described as golden age of Mughal empire, because many tourists from different places of the world, from medieval period to at present era, come for visiting. So it is a unforgettable and immemorable. His reign has been described as unforgettable and immemorable reign in the history of medieval India, especially in the field of art and architecture. That is why his reign has been described as golden age of Mughal empire in medieval Indian history. Thank you.